So this is episode 3, and I know I keep saying I'm going to talk about my story with addiction, but every time I've gone to record it, it just doesn't feel right. The words aren't finding me. And while I was on my way back home from my day out and about in the city, I'm currently on a business trip in New York City, and I've had quite a few experiences around depression. And I forgot how much being in a city environment can really invoke certain feelings. And I know a lot of people could say, oh, that's just because you're in a city. It's because you're not around nature. It's because you're around a lot of electronics. And it's an environment that doesn't welcome community. And I would like to disagree with that. Walking around the neighborhood I'm staying in Brooklyn, there's a lot of street parties going on, a lot of block parties. You could see the community is very alive here, and it's very supportive. And I got to witness it, not just here, but in other places and other spaces throughout the city. But what I do realize is that the city itself, because you are around people in large amounts, this can affect exactly how much you feel. Because one thing I've learned, especially when it came to drinking, is whenever I drank, whatever emotions I was holding in my body, they would come out, because it was either my body holding in those emotions or processing the liquor that I had drinking. And usually the liquor always won, obviously, so I could thrive and just literally survive the night. Otherwise, I'd probably not be recording this right now. But what I found is when you are around a lot of people who have unprocessed emotions, this can evoke feelings that are not yours. You can take on emotions and they can really make you sick. There were quite a few times where I had to energetically vomit and throw up stuff that wasn't mine. And there was times where I would have big emotions come over me and I'd have to ground myself because I could feel myself getting what I like to call emotional vertigo when I become so ungrounded. And it's been shown that people who are energetically sensitive tend to be up in the higher chakras. And there's a whole theory behind that. We go into these higher realms because being in these denser environments is very jarring to our system. So we can almost leave our bodies quite literally, because I feel our emotions are being pushed, our essence is being pushed out of our body due to the dense emotions of other people around us. I went to the Met and I literally thought I was having a low blood sugar episode. But then I started listening to an energy healing frequency, and this one is available to all of you. It's a grounding frequency. And this frequency, I put it on while I was waiting in line to get food. And all of a sudden, that those emotions, those big feelings, that energetic dysregulation I was experiencing, completely gone. And it really made me think about how there's so many people in this world that are unconscientious about their emotions. And it totally makes sense, because you don't want to get caught in a rut of feeling all the big emotions. We have to function, we have to live, and we want to feel good. So we thrive and strive to almost avoid any type of depressive feelings. Some people do. I'd say most people do. And when you are a neurodivergent, it's harder to avoid these feelings, because what happens is these emotions do not disappear. If people have emotions that are unprocessed, they almost create a radioactive die-off that comes from their body. It then fills up their auric field. And then if you're energetically sensitive, you get hit with that. Now, this trip ended up being extremely enlightening, because before, I used to be able to feel everyone's emotions. It was just going out and being around people was the worst experience for me. which was one of the reasons why I would tense up my body, which led to my scoliosis, which at the age of 21, I was told I needed to have surgery, which why I smoked cigarettes for 18 years, also why I drank quite heavily for a good portion of, the last 18 years. All of this really, or at least the last 15. And for me, this trip, I didn't feel these big emotions as normally as I would. I could tell when other people were either emitting stuff, and I would give myself permission to move either in the subway or to walk a different direction or to politely choose not to be in conversation with people. I was really utilizing these new skills, gifts, and boundaries that I have instilled in myself through this work I've been doing. And I give a lot of credit to the energy healing course that is about to come out, because I cleansed and cleared my aura of my woundings, because I found if you have woundings, other people's energy will be able to filter into your system. And what I mean by this is, I'm going to roll back around to what I was saying, where emotions, if they are not processed, they will seek out other people to feel them. We live in a world where we simply want to be observed. And we live in a world that is experienced through emotions. So if people have unprocessed emotions, they will then emit a frequency from their body to be felt and expressed. And if said person does not feel it, it could lead to addictive patterns and habits, addictive thought forms. Big one that came up was addiction to the thought of lack, addiction to fear, addiction to anger, a lot of secondary things, because sadness is a byproduct that we experience in life. And there's a lot of times, and I had a big experience myself come up around sadness, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. When you are very sensitive and you're around big groups of people, you can pick up that depression. And I got hit with it so intensely, I had to come home. I had to do all this energy healing. But usually when there's a collective thing that hits me and I do these clearings, it usually signifies that there's something else in me that is needing to be processed, because I find that depression is viewed in such a negative light, and it simply is what it is. It simply is a part of a cycle. And the cycle goes like this. You start a task, you go through the motions of completing the task, and once the task is over, you have a lull point. But we live in a society where fight or flight is the new addiction. People cannot stop because some people don't have the luxury or have never had the experience of it. And to be honest, I've massaged a lot of people, and some people were very rich. Some people, they had the ability to relax, because I came from a low income family, and trust me, if I can make my life, I can survive off of what I was making, and these people have higher anxiety than I was having, something's wrong with that picture. So for our society, it doesn't just have to do with low income families. There are people who are well off who are very mentally unhealthy because they've based their wealth and built it on the foundation of fear and anxiety, of an unhealed nervous system. And a lot of people I've seen on my journey of, building my business and learning from people, a lot of people ended up getting sick after they made their wealth, and they were forced to, focus on their health. So I've been on this journey of how can I build my business where my health is integrated into this. So I build it from a place that is regulated, not dysregulated. And it's been quite a journey. And back in the end of 2023, I hurt my knee, and I was still doing massage therapy. And this really showed me how emotions really affect your muscles. They really affect your whole body. And so I took that as a time, because I was literally working, and then I'd come home and I wasn't able to do anything. And it taught me just how addicted I was to moving and doing. And it really started to allow me to drop into understanding depression and understanding anxiety. Just like you have a sound frequency, they have a high and a low, they just a wave. That's what depression and anxiety are. The lull is depression, the high is the anxiety, the peak. Or some could say it's the anxiety moving up. Once you get to the peak, you feel good, you're coming down, that's great, and then you hit that depression again. And the point about healing is getting into a system where you understand, hey, I'm starting to get depressed. How can I slow down to get clear on what is going on inside of me so I can be with my depression? And then start the cycle again by creating a roadmap and how to process those emotions, how to make aligned action to keep moving forward, because depression is just going to be a part of life. For example, I just came to New York, had this big experience and a big victory. Didn't smoke cigarettes, didn't drink, didn't do anything, like really just raw dogged life being a neurodivergent, and which is intense. And the fact that I was able to do it, was able to utilize the tools that I have and navigate a city that is very much on all the time, coming from a place that was a lot quieter. I came from Savannah, so big contrast in energetic frequencies. Now, there's plenty of depression in small towns as well. They just differ. They wear different outfits. But I find in smaller cities, people are okay moving slower, which means they don't have to deal with doing as much. But they're okay in these cycles of living everyday life, which is great, but they might be doing that in a way of avoiding doing more, which would actually support them. Whereas in the city, I feel a lot of people are forced to do rather than slow down a bit and be a little bit more present. I feel like both places could learn a little bit from each other and take a little bit from each other and find a greater balance. But I found that while I was on this trip, I went to the Met and I had that big onslaught of feelings that weren't mine. And I came home, dealt with them. I do energy healing whenever that stuff comes up. And it's so helpful because when you clear what isn't yours, you can then get really clear on what is. So I went to a show, and that was the big, the big kahuna for me, because going to a live show, not drinking, not, doing anything, I was nervous because I had never done anything like that completely sober. Not when I say completely sober, no smoking cigarettes, like that's the biggest one for me. And I was able to just have the best time. Didn't hurt that there was amazing DJs there, like fantastic. And so I was super proud of myself, and I woke up this morning and, it's my last day here. And so I went to, into Manhattan, went to go walk around Central Park, and I got hit with heavy depression. It was happy tears, like just this grateful, like so grateful for how far I'd come. And then I got hit with this sadness, and I was like, well, what the hell is this? Like, I just accomplished something amazing. Like, why am I feeling this way the day after? Like, I was like, can I catch a break? Can we just have a day where like I just soak that in? And apparently not. But for me, everyone's different. But for me, my energy, and I feel like this is for very ADHD type people, is because our energy is moving a lot faster than others. We get hit with depression and anxiety a lot quicker than neurotypicals. And so understanding that as well about myself and my sensitivities and how energies work, it really allowed me to hone in on the depression. And what came up while I was on the subway ride home was taking that time to slow down. I didn't put my, music on. I just sat there with my feelings. I asked, what's going on? I've learned to ask, okay, depression, I feel you. What do you need from me? I don't work out. I don't go do things. I sit there and I'm really still. What I've learned about depression is you want to get still before you do actions. What I've found within our society and within my own healing journey is that once we feel depression, anxiety kicks in. Oh, I shouldn't feel this way. We are taught we're not supposed to feel depression. It's like this big thing that we should never feel sad or we should never have these moments. And I know for myself that it's very interesting when the stuff comes forward, because being in a city today, some of the emotions were mine, some of them were other people, and just being able to ground and get really clear on what was mine was very helpful. And while I sat there in silence, while I was on my subway ride home, was this trip signified an 18-year cycle that was coming to an end. And I feel like that's what can be difficult about ending things, even though we know they need to end, even though we know we need to move into the next cycle. It can be very difficult because we've built a lot of our essence around this. I've done all this research, I've done all this stuff, and when I go home, I'm going to complete this course, which will then signify the end of this cycle, the end of what I've been asking questions about and wanting to understand even before I started using when I was a child. Like, this is the end of, I always like to break down life as a trilogy. And maybe this is the end of that trilogy, which means as 37, I would be 114. Let's go for it. Maybe we'll see. No, I'd be 111. I can add right now. Anyway, sorry. But for me, it's just such a closing of a chapter. And I'm just being told, like, you're allowed to be depressed about this. It's okay to be sad, even though this is a good thing. Like, it makes sense why a part of you doesn't want to let go. There's anxiety around the letting go of this part of your identity. It's scary to start brand new, going into sharing this gift with the world, sharing this course. You're going to have to learn new skills, new sets. And I'm still like 3 weeks into the non-smoking. So this is also the first depressive episode that I had. And so that was also a bit intense. And I went for, I felt the feelings. I went for a quick run. And then I came back to my Airbnb, took a shower, and I knew I needed to record this. I'm getting better at sharing these things because there's still a part of me that doesn't like sharing this stuff, because I don't want the world to know that there's something wrong with me. I feel like on a baseline, everybody feels that way. And that's why we all mask. I believe everybody masks. It's not just neurodivergence unmasking. To be honest, I feel that if anyone was to dive into their soul and do the healing work that's required and become quote unquote spiritual, there's unmasking that has to, come about. And I have a theory that if people were to truly unmask, people would find that they're actually more neurodivergent than they lead on, because I believe we're supposed to be neurotypical and neurodivergent. I think we're supposed to be both. And that's been a part of my journey, is knowing, okay, when you were masking, you're able to do all this stuff, but now you have the skills of knowing how to be neurodivergent. And now you can take that into a neurotypical world and utilize these gifts and learn neurotypical ways possibly of doing stuff. I'm not really sure. I have theories about that. But I do believe that when you go through different phases of your life, you're constantly peeling back layers. You're constantly unmasking, because we are taught to mask. And this is just my own personal belief. And if you feel otherwise, please leave them in the comments. But I feel that neurotypicals, because this world quote unquote works for them, they don't have to quote unquote unmask. But the reality is, for me, what I've experienced as someone who's worked on bodies and as someone who's so dynamically sensitive and can feel frequencies, can feel emotions, is people have a lot of emotions. And if they were to truly deal with that, I feel like people and feel it to the level in which I think we're supposed to, people would break. People do. And I don't want that for the world. But what I do want is people to take ownership of their feelings, because in this world we live in, if everyone started to take ownership of their emotions, I feel that the world would change for the better. It would move out of the unhealthy mentality that I feel is kind of infiltrated the world in the worldly sense, because we're all so connected now, and going around and traveling and being around different cultures, that energy transcends that masking of just staying at this shallow level instead of getting really deep, is universal. It's universal. And I understand, again, like, you're doing it so you can live, and you're trying to live to the best of your abilities. And I don't think we're taught how to navigate that. I also think because of a lot of atrocities in the world, of course, like, to think and actually feel that is overwhelming. And I've definitely been there 100%. Someone who's really sensitive, I've had moments where I've definitely felt the, big emotions of the collective. The collective can actually connect into all of humanity, which, yes, it's fucking overwhelming. Don't recommend it at all. Which is also why I love this course I created, because it's allowed me to know, like, hey, I can feel when it's a collective thing, I can be in it, but then I can choose to step away. Or I can say, this is not mine, I don't want to be a part of this anymore. Because in the course, what I was taught by my spirit team was there's a lot of emotions that we get addicted to, that keep us in cycles, that keep us from feeling the true root cause. And for a lot of people, that's either fear or some type of sadness. To me, sadness is always the baseline for depression. And depression is sadness, is the suppressed emotions. Anxiety is what keeps us in our mind and keeps us out of our body. So the moment you quiet your mind, you enter into the body. And that's where people will they will take pills, they'll busy their life with overworking, taking on other people's stuff, filling their life with friends, like events. You don't have to have a stimulus to be addicted to something. You could be filling your life so you don't have to feel, period, to keeping busy to the point of it really being a detriment to your health. And in the world that we live in today, at least in the American culture, I see that very readily. And again, having worked on bodies for over a decade, I felt it firsthand, 100%. Having worked through my own stuff, I definitely agree, because that's what I grew up in. That's what I was taught. Having to unprogram yourself from that is very intense. After quitting this job, because I couldn't agree to the toxic behaviors in which it was, perpetuating. And if I stayed, I would have been agreeing to it, which I couldn't. I also wanted to quit smoking, so I chose my health over that, which is very scary. I still say it's scary now because it's forced me to really go all in on my business, truly, truly. And it's forcing me to really hustle, and in a way where to make income, because there is that need for income in the world we live in today. And for me, not acting out of a place of fear has been a part of this whole transition, which has been really difficult. And honestly, I have cigarettes to thank for that, because anytime I will go into overworking mode, I'd want to smoke. So I'm like, you have to stop. You have to pull back. And it's showing me how a lot of the times where I would be quote unquote productive, they were actually extremely fucking unhealthy. So I had to really stop, get in my body, and I utilized my energy healing. I would listen to when my guides are like, okay, go do this now, wait, then act, take time to rest. You don't have to work this fucking hard. Like, yes, being productive is awesome, but for me, especially, it's not helpful for my overall health. And again, I wanted to build a company that is based on a healthy foundation, not on the unhealthy style in which a lot of our society it has been based off of for I don't know how many years now. And it's scary because it's uncharted realm. It's an uncharted world. And so in coming home today, I realized I'm entering into more uncharted territory. And I just let myself feel sad and depressed that I was, again, letting go of something, a part of my identity, this part of me that has been with me on this adventure, which is ironic because it was a very unhealthy part of me. But it gave me such a sense of purpose. And I think purpose is important. But when we've attached into that for so long, of course, there's going to be a grieving stage. There's going to be mourning. And I feel if our society taught us how to make space for this, taught us to, when you quiet anxiety, that's when depression will come up, and that's when you need to get still. That's when you need to hold space. And once you process and move through the emotions, that's when you can then start to make a plan of what needs to come up next. That's when you can really get clear on, okay, well, these are the next steps that I need to take, and just keep building on those steps. For me, it was going for a quick run, taking a shower, and then hopping on and recording this podcast because I'm keeping up with what I needed to do. Some days it's just as simple as one day at a time. AA, baby, that shit, chef's kiss, rings true in life. And I do believe systems are important, but I do believe allowing ourselves the space to get creative within those systems that we have for ourselves are also equally important. Especially for me, being a manifester in human design, I'm learning that is very important to me. And I also am learning, especially with my building my company and my business does not align with the energy and the flow of modern day society. The fact that I wanted to do a linear thing of building this podcast and expressing things, not happening. So I just had to let all of that go. Like my business has been so humbling. It crushes my ego all the fucking time. But it's allowed me to really befriend depression. And in my physical support course, I added into 3 frequencies to support you in navigating big emotions of depression and anxiety, because I found that when it comes to physical points with your muscles, there is a feminine energy and a masculine energy. And I found that feminine anxiety is very close to almost a depressive state. It's a freeze response, which will keep you locked in your head. And this is no bueno. And masculine anxiety is when you're overdoing, like you're doing, and you can't fucking stop. You can't hit those brakes. And being ADHD, I know that all too well. And when I hurt my leg, I really got to understand the threshold of the dopamine receptors, because most people are like, we're dopamine deficient. And the reason for that is because you need to catch the dopamine before you hit that high, which can be very difficult because our society teaches us, be productive, do this. And so we're just keeping up with the Joneses
and we're fucking depleting ourselves because we are so sensitive and we take in more information. So our depressive drops are going to be more fucking frequent and more intense. And now that I'm thinking about it, that's probably why I was feeling that way too today, because I had such a good high and I was so proud of myself. And I was still a little bit mad because I wanted to stay till the end of the show. I had never seen Moon Boots, and I thought that he was going to be going on second. Or I just didn't know, but he was the full-on closer. Like, I know there's back-to-back sex, and like it was fucking amazing. Like, Oliver Dollar, I think was his name, such a little gem. And then there's A-Track, who's just a fucking goat. He is always a good time. All three of them, if you can go see them. But Moon Boots I'd never seen before, and I was so bummed out because it was about 3:15. I knew I needed to go home. I still had energy, but I caught myself and I made it back home because I had to take the bus. I was also, solo traveler, so I have to preserve amount of energy. So if I needed to run as a female, I could do that. So if I had stayed till closing, I don't know where I would have been with that. So I was so proud of myself for catching that dopamine high and also understanding my body and knowing when to, bow out. Same with the Metropolitan Museum. I only went to certain exhibits and I bowed out. I'm like, you've reached your max. Go home, do your energy healing, be with the process of healing and doing that stuff. And don't be mad. Just you went, you're understanding that you don't need to adhere to this social thing of, I kept hearing, get your money's worth. And your health is more than getting your fucking money's worth. And also, I had a talk with my dad, and the way that they function has never functioned well with me. So I was really letting this trip be about instilling a new way of being without the fear, without the anxiety. And when it came up, working through it, sitting with it, talking myself through the process and trusting my intuition. And it's really served me. And today there was just the heavy depression. And today what came up around the depression was that it's another ending. You've had so much of a dopamine high and a stress and anxiety around this course. It's about to come to an end. It's a good thing, but you're allowed to be sad in this process. It's literally like having a child and then you're sending them off once they reach 18. Of course, there's going to be fucking separation anxiety. I literally sat there and I was like, Anna, this whole thing is a culmination of everything you've been seeking and creating and going after for literally 18 years. I've been seeking answers around the questions I've had around my body, around what I've been feeling, my sensations, how my mind functions, how I work. Probably since even before then, but truly going after it was when I went into rehab, because I was like, it was forced in front of me. And I really started asking all those questions because, obviously I had issues that couldn't be ignored. And so it really brought about a lot of deep questioning, not just from my own rehab, but when I was in AA for 3 years, I had friends pass away on me. And I always asked, I'm like, why? Why is it that when people don't use for so long, why is it when they pick up and use, it's like not a day has gone by? What is that? And on my journey, things would come out and I'm like, I've been doing work. Why is it like it's not going away? So I kept seeking out answers. So not only I could get those answers, but I want other people to have that peace. And so the fact that I was able to obtain this freedom in this trip, and while I was dancing last night, I was laughing. I was like, I am the drugs. Like, fuck yes. it's me, and everyone probably thinks I'm on, but I'm not. Woo, like just that essence of freedom and just being so proud of finally like being so at peace with, and I've never had that level of peace before because I didn't understand what was going on in my body. No one could tell me what the fuck was going on within my experience because one, most of my family is neurotypical. Two, being neurodivergent wasn't an open discussion at the dinner table as it is now, which I'm very grateful for. There's more science around it. People are learning more about it. You know, there's more talk about like female hormones versus male hormones, you know, women's health versus male's health, but also the fact that I am a shaman and I grew up in a Christian family. There's just so much stuff where I was not supported. And so the fact that I'm in a place where I'm very supported and I feel so at ease with who I am and understanding it. And if people have a problem, they can go fucking kick rocks because I feel everyone should be curious about people who are different than them. That's just, you know, or just have an understanding. That's just me, you know, to some degree, some level of degree, you know, and not, anyways. I don't want to get into judgment because I feel like that's a huge addiction within our society. But this depression is something that, you know, it came on suddenly, but it's now gone. And there's still going to be little bits and remnants because every time you quit, especially when it comes to smoking, smoking has to do with the lungs and lungs have to do with grief. And anytime you smoke, you're suppressing feelings. You're depressing your body quite literally to withhold stuff. And tobacco originally was utilized to cleanse the body of impurities, of entities, of depressive feelings. And because it's been tainted, it can't act in the way that it was meant to be to its full extent. So every time I've quit smoking, I understand something will be coming up and out of me. And that didn't just happen when I quit smoking cigarettes. It also happened when I quit smoking pot and when I quit vaping. Anything that has to do with the lungs, you best fucking believe. And, you know, and when you start moving your stagnant lymph, and stuff will start coming out 100% for sure. And I just wanted to make this because I found that people get deterred and they will fall back into bad patterns because they have suppressed so much. Because the first time I quit, the wave of stuff that came up and out of me, it was whoa. And I think about the music scale and the frequencies, like, or the color vibrations. You think of red, how they're the largest wavelengths, and then you get up to purple and they're smaller until you get to ultraviolet. When you start healing those unhealed spots in your body, you're going to get those big highs. You see people all the time. They have these big healings. They have this moment of euphoria. When you have that, you're going to then drop into depression, into the stuff that you've been suppressing. And that's where people get caught. And that's where people fall back into bad habits. I know, I did it. And so the goal is to keep moving forward, to keep processing it, to make it so it becomes easier, like almost like lifting weights or learning a new habit or a new something. You do it until it becomes natural. And so for me, whenever depression comes on now, I'm so aware of it and I've befriended it where I'm like, okay, first I'll ask, is it mine or is it someone else's? If it's someone else's, clear it. But if it's mine, that's when I slow down and I'm like, okay, what do I need to listen to within my body? What do I need to do and what do I need to release in order to come back to a place of center? What part of me needs to be held? What do I need to do to give myself this attention? And for me, it was just getting still and realizing that this was the end of a cycle. And it's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. And I luckily did not need any type of energy healing. I've done a lot of energy healing this week, so it's not but specifically the points in my energy healing course, the physical support, there is anxiety for the masculine and feminine energies. And then there is depression, because what I found is when I did these magnet therapy placements on my body for anxiety, either one, what would happen is I would get hit with depression afterwards. And depression is very different than the feminine anxiety. That you just feel so low, and it's true, it's debilitating. And what I did is I took that time and I found a universal pairing for depression. I put it on my body, and it would help me process that depression in my body, and I would come out of it, and then I'd be able to function again. And through that process of releasing the anxiety and then waiting, feeling good, and then that depression coming on, clearing the depression and then moving through it, I became okay with the process. I became okay with knowing I'm going to have anxiety. I have a tool that I can utilize. Is it feminine anxiety? Is it masculine anxiety? I really got to understand, am I overdoing, or am I too in my head? Am I too much in fear, so I'm frozen, feminine? Or am I just overdoing because I feel I need to do that just to feel essential? I'm not sure. It just masculine anxiety is when usually for me, I'm too much in a dopamine rush and I just can't stop. And so with the depression points, it really helped me to understand, hey, you can work through this. And this is another big achievement, is the fact that I was able to sit with the depression, process it on my own after a year of utilizing the magnet pair of therapies to support me through that. That's the goal of these courses. They're tools to help you in those moments when you need that help. And I still use them, of course. They're a part of my self-care. They are the game changer, because anytime you undergo stress, it creates polarity points in your body. So when you listen to these frequencies, you're receiving that healing as if magnets are placed directly on your body. This is quantum physics. I basically imprinted these healing pairs into these frequencies, and there's multiple pairs, and that's what I've been receiving downloads on for the past almost 5 years now. Holy shit. Oh my God. The last time I was in New York was for my training in 2021. So anyways, I don't want to get too ADD and totally good off point here. But when you depolarize these points, it allows that energy to start moving. So with anxiety, when you depolarize that anxiety, your body can go into a parasympathetic state where it starts to relax. And when your body relaxes, that's when everything starts to come up and out. That's when the emotions will start to come out, and you might have that depressive state. And that's when you depolarize that stress, which then allows that energy to move. By depolarizing the stress, it allows your energy to keep moving. Most people have their bodies so locked up, and you can be a flexible person and still have a lot of polarity points in your body. Most people would think you'd have to be rigid. No, you can be flexible and still have issues. You could be overly flexible to avoid dealing with feeling things too. Think about it that way. That's a whole nother talk. And I'm sure I'm going to get to it at some point. But I just wanted to share this as I continue to unveil, my understanding of addiction. And I believe a part of addiction is the not wanting to deal with the big emotions, because energetically, they are overwhelming. Fuck you to the yes. So what I found with listening to the magnet pair therapies is it helps you to move that energy that's trapped in your body from unprocessed stress, which then allows your chi and life force to start moving, which allows your body to start healing on a very deep somatic level that goes deeper than anything that I have tried or done. And I combined my love for knowledge of the body and utilized magnet pair therapy. And that's why I have multiple courses. But if you're wanting support with the depression and anxiety, specifically, those pairs are in my physical support course. That one is more so to help you alongside other modalities that you might be doing, like therapy. Definitely believe that somatic therapy and talk therapy should be combined. Definitely. I feel definitely. It also can be utilized in correlation with your somatic therapy that you're doing, your breath work, the physical support course is so amazing just to support your physical body and the physical demands that you may be undergoing. Like I've been so physically active while in the city. It's been so beautiful and resetting my body so I can keep up with the demands and not feel overwhelmed and tired. Like, it's amazing how I've done so much physical activity. I'd come home, be dead. Like the first day I did 11 miles, listen to the muscle repair or muscle release frequencies. There's a whole section in this physical support course. There's the detoxification frequencies, there's nervous system regulation, there's muscle recovery, there's anxiety and depression, and there's also an introductory to the chakra system, because I found that a lot of people have physical pain that's connected into blocked minor chakras. And so I wanted to introduce that to help alleviate pain, because again, when you're around people, you can possibly be taking on their energy. And what I found towards the end of being a massage therapist is I had to listen to those minor chakras respectfully, almost bi-weekly, because of all the stuff I was taking in from my clients. And I say respectfully because, they didn't know, I didn't know. Now that I know, that's why I fucking left. Because one, that's not the stuff I'm supposed to take on. And two, I believe that people should work through this stuff on their own. I also have other beliefs about massage, but I'm going to talk about that later. But anyways, I just found that also I wasn't receiving massage, so I was becoming a fucking hypocrite. I was doing energy healing and I was getting better results than I ever got from a fucking massage, because massage was someone else doing the work for you, so you weren't really coherent or just a part of the process. And if you want to get one just to treat yourself, have a little relaxation, I get it. But if you're really wanting to get, for me, I love knowing that I can really get true healing, because I had chronic pain for most of my life. And so this stuff for me, do it in the evening, you wake up the next morning, you're fucking ready to go and crush it. Like, that to me is awesome, because I love being proactive too. I love it. And I love that I have these tools that can get me out of these depressive moments. I love that they're teaching me to know, I'm in anxiety. I'm in a masculine anxiety. I'm in a feminine anxiety. Let me just do a quick reset, because that is what I need. I just get to be with my body for 20 minutes, do a quick little healing session. And then guess what? I'm more grounded and centered to go back into the work that I was trying to do. And I've learned that if I just take a pause for a short amount of time, do that healing work super quick, I can then go back to the work that I wanted to do, and I can finish that work faster than if I was in an anxiety spiral. And also, if I get into a depressive cycle, I can listen to that frequency, come out of it, and just have all my energy back, which is phenomenal. But today, the fact that I didn't need the depressive points to work through what I had going on, crucial. I love that I'm now able to do that coherently, so intimately. And I'm sure there'll be some other stuff that'll come on, as I continue this journey of living full raw dog, been raw dog my life, and I actually like it. So, personally, I like the raw dog, but I like to feel it all, apparently. But it's just this is just a whole new chapter, and I'm really excited about it. But, there's fears and anxieties that are going to come up. And and that's the main thing that I wish they would teach addicts is when you come out of that stuff, you're going to start feeling that stuff. And here's a tool to understand it. Here's a tool to teach you how to navigate it, and also a tool that you can trust and rely on to utilize and to help you get stronger and more resilient in working through that stuff. Because I believe in our society, we view anxiety and depression as so bad, they're just simply fucking signals. And we just haven't been taught how to understand those signals. And so for me, especially with ADHD, and I'll talk about ADHD anxiety and how to navigate that and what I've done, because that's another whole nother piece of the pie. But I just wanted to talk about depression and anxiety because I know everybody deals with that. And I know that not every addict is a neurodivergent, though I think a big chunk of them probably are, and the people who have high anxiety, probably have issues that, are not being dealt with. I was looking at the statistics. Over 21 million people have been diagnosed. But how about the people who are undiagnosed? Like literally, I probably feel like most people do have these issues and they are undiagnosed because we are taught how to live in fight or flight. And most people are living in toxic cycles that perpetuate these systems. And being an energy sensitive and being able to see them is quite unnerving and has been unnerving. But that's also why I'm grateful about these energy healing courses and being able to see it but not get swept up in it. Because before I didn't have a choice and now I do. And that freedom, I think, should be available to everybody. And understanding these cycles is a part of stepping into that freedom, not just the cycles that are outside of you, but the cycles that are going on inside of you. And I'll be talking more about working with different energy systems to support your journey of healing. But today, and I didn't expect to go this long, but depression is not a bad thing. It's simply a signal. It's a signal to slow down and get present with your body. And if that's too uncomfortable for you to deal with because you have so much backed up, know that that is okay. Know that there are tools out there to help you. And the physical support is the one that I would recommend for someone who's wanting something now, because it'll help there's a bunch of different ones to support nervous system regulation. The detoxification really helps the physical body. And for a lot of people, they start by getting in the physical body. And I found that if people progress with the physical release points, if they need to do more work, they will get deeper clarity. And what I'm going to be adding into that course is a demo on how the different systems and scanning them and how I would go about doing that, and providing a basic scan sheet. And so what I'm going to provide in that course is a scan sheet, a very basic one, of going through and scanning and seeing, is this issue connected into a different energy system? Because what happens when we have any type of stress is it can start to enmesh with other energy systems within the body, either the aura, the chakra, the meridians, the physical body, or it could also be incorporated in with emotions and pathogens. So I have found that working with all of these is super crucial, but also understanding, do I need certain supplements? Do I need this? Do I need certain foods? Like, this course is a good introductory of teaching you how to scan your body, but also working with your body, and allows you to get into that before going and jumping into the bigger courses. And for some of you, you might be like, fuck yes, I want it all. And that will be available as well. But just in regards to this episode with depression, I would recommend the physical support course as a good jumping off point to give you the tools, because in every course that I have created, the physical support course is something that I have utilized in assisting my body processing the stuff that's come up. It is a good foundation. It's an amazing tool to support you, not only working through big emotions, but also in just maintaining a sense of ease in your body, and releasing tension and releasing pain and helping yourself detox and helping yourself feel just physically good. Take away the emotions and just you want to feel good, okay? Which I know is very essential. You feel good, you can, do good. People who are in chronic pain aren't going to be at their best. That's just a fact. And I can attest to that, having been in chronic pain for most of my life. I got out of that at the age of 32. So I've had about 5 years of chronic free pain, and even still was working through working through it. And it wasn't until I had magnet therapy and created these frequencies and created a means in which it was easily accessible and readily available, so I can just use it on the go, which on this trip, clutch. Don't have to pack anything. You just put it on your phone, listen to the frequencies, bada bing, bada boom, you're done. And you wake up the next morning feeling amazing. Like, it's just chef's kiss. So this course is something that can not only help you physically feel better, but emotionally feel better. And it's a good jumping off point. It's also a good thing to support you in any other modality that you utilize, be it the other courses that I have available, or like I had talked about, if you do therapy, if you're doing yoga, if you're doing, Tai Chi, Qigong, if you're doing big projects, like whatever it is, it's just such a beautiful way to support you in keeping your body energetically sound. So with that, I am wishing you all a fantastic week to come. And just know, if you're feeling down, it's okay. Take time to slow down. And if you want support, go check out the description. I have the link for my physical support course listed there for all of you to have access to and to implement on your healing journey as well.